Rules of acquisition number 40. She can touch your lobes, but never your latinum. Oh, shit, we're recording.
Space, the final frontier. These are the Voyagers.
Oh, the hell with it. Let's just start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vern and Bob Star Trek show here on the Star Trek Network. How are you?
Me? I'm good.
No, I was talking to the people at home. I was actually hoping that we would get 24th century technology and they actually talk back. FaceTime. Bob, how are you, good sir?
I am doing good. I am actually looking forward to this episode.
So, yes, so am I. If you follow us on our Discord, you might have seen a comment or two that I might have left about it. I'll start with saying it is a good Neelix episode.
It is. It really is, and it's one of the very few.
It is probably one of the darker Star Trek Voyager episodes. I think we talked about that on the last show, which made us do this show. Original air date, May 15th, 1995, Season 1, Episode 14. The episode is titled Jetrel. And we have a rather big guest on the show on this episode.
Yes. Yeah, he is. First of all, he's no stranger to Star Trek.
No.
James Sloyan. A lot of you may remember him as Admiral Jarek from The Defector from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
Also shows up 2 episodes of DS9 as Dr. Maura Paul. And then he comes back in Star Trek The Next Generation and plays Future Alexander late in the 7th season.
Yep.
And then he turns up here on Voyager and plays Jetrel. So
Definitely.
He is quite the member of the Star Trek family when it comes to guest starring.
You know, it's amazing how many people do jump in and out of Star Trek throughout the years. Of course, our very own Tuvok was in several iterations before he got to Voyager. So was Tom Paris.
Yeah.
It is a good episode. And again, like I said at the top of the show, it is hard to say that there is such a good thing as a good Neelix episode. You get a lot of good acting from Ethan Phillips here as the Neelix character. I mean, it's probably some of the best acting of the whole series in this episode.
Yeah. You also get a lot of character development with Neelix in this one. You get a lot of backstory for him as well, which is towards the end. In like the episode before we were talking about, you got a lot of B'Elanna Torres backstory and character development too. So they're really hitting home here at the end of the first season on character development, which they really lacked a lot of at the first half of this season.
Yeah. The one scene that really sticks out to me as far as the acting goes, when he confesses to Kes that basically everybody knows him as is a lie. You know, the way that he held so much hatred for this man for being something that he's not. And she turns it on him, basically saying, well, you're doing the same thing by lying about what you are. Because he admitted that he did not serve in the army or the forces to march against this man. He actually hid and did not fight in the war, which is something that, you know, he'd always talked about doing. Actually get the first time the doctor... I think the first time that I can think of that the doctor has the ability to shut off his own programming. Is this the first episode where he does that?
I don't think this is the first one. I know they talked. I think this is the first one where you see him do it. I think that Janeway had that meeting with him where they're like, well, maybe we can do something to where you can turn yourself on and off whenever you want to. So I know they discussed it before this episode, but this may be the first time you actually see him doing it.
I think it's the only time you see it. It's used as an override command because they both Jetrel and the doctor call it an override command for the EMH to end the program.
Yeah, because there's a part where like somebody walks out and shuts him off, and then he like turns himself back
Right.
on.
So I don't know what this override program is about, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the performance by Ethan Phillips. Bob, your favorite scene of the show?
So my favorite scene is the one between, and there's a lot of these in this episode, but it's the one where Jetrel tells what happened to him after the war, where his family saw him as the same way that Neelix saw him, as this monster that created this terrible weapon that just obliterated an entire planet. And the emotion that you get out of him is just it's so good. He is by far my favorite guest star that has ever been on a Star Trek show. Like the roles that he plays, he's such a great actor. Both of them in that scene were amazing.
Yeah, because Neelix then comes up. Well, let me do you one better, Doctor. Let me tell you one better. Talking about how the girl came out of the darkness, thought it was a monster, but no, it was a girl that was basically burnt by radiation of the cloud.
You get the part where he tries to use the transporter to bring all those people back together because somehow their consciousness is flying in the atmosphere above the planet. Is
Right.
that what it was?
Yeah, so basically whenever they dematerialize because of the cloud, they basically become in this giant pool of smoke or cloud, but
That's yeah.
their consciousness is in there, and all he had to do was get their DNA sequencing from files and basically kind of pull a Tuvix in a way
Mhm.
where you can get them in the transporter buffer. I think it's more like what Dr. Abanga has in um, Strange New Worlds, that basically is able to store a pattern in the pattern buffer. It's kind of weird, but yeah, he basically could take the DNA information, the whatever matching information the cloud has, put them in a transporter confinement beam, and then they're back.
So is it just me, or maybe I didn't pay attention to while watching as much, but I don't feel like any of the main cast had much to do in this episode. I mean, Janeway got super excited about this guy's idea to save the whole planet real quick. You can do whatever you want. You can use whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And Neelix is just like, this guy's a fucking asshole. He killed like so many of my people. What are you doing?
Yeah, he's supposed to be the Delta Quadrant expert,
Yeah.
and this subject was very close to home and very personal to him. And she just basically says, "Screw you,
Get
Neelix.
over it.
We're going to go from getting home to even I think Chakotay said that that's a hell of an out of the way shot, backtracking.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, she basically just tells Neelix, get over it.
what about a Vulcan playing pool?
Oh yeah,
The opening shot.
that's yes. We get the little Perry bar or whatever that they used in the first season that I don't think you see after.
Do you? Because
Maybe some of the beginning part of the second season.
which season was the episode where basically Voyager was going through that thing that was going through the ship, making
That's
it
the
on-
first season, I
Is
think.
it? So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the last
Oh
time
yeah,
you see
that's
it.
early in the first season. Yeah.
Yeah, that might. So this episode might be the last time you see that bar, because I know
Which was
that was a heavy set piece for that episode.
so they kind of were doing something like what they would do in the last couple seasons of DS9, where they had like Nick Fontaine's club going 24/7 and people can come and go as they please. I feel like this is, which is weird because they're having such an energy problem in the first season, but they can run this holodeck program.
Well, that's when you watch Picard season 3. That's why they had 10 Forward programmed in there.
Yeah.
Guinan's bar, because he even said this is kind of a getaway program, and Jack Crusher goes, So when the ship is going down, people could come in here and live a fantasy life until they die.
Well, yeah, no, but my point is they have to they have replicator rations all throughout the first season to
But
save
the holodeck
power.
can go for days.
But the holodeck can go 24/7. Let's not be able to eat, but we can run the holodeck for 20. That's really my only complaint about that whole thing. I like the idea of having something like that, being so far away from home that you can just go in and forget where you are and kind of be like you're back on Earth.
So, another couple highlights of this episode. The makeup on Kess whenever they're doing the nightmare sequence in the
Oh
bar.
yeah.
They had her done up something scary.
Yeah.
I mean, she had red contacts. She was music in this episode. There were a couple points that when you knew they were going to commercial, the scene I'm thinking of in particular is when Neelix and Jetrel are having that conversation about, one-upping each other. And then he goes, well, I hope you live with this till the day you die. And then Jetrel goes, well, that's not going to be very much longer because I'm probably going to be dead in 3 days because I have an advanced case of this. You would think they would hit it with a big, whoa.
Yeah, because that was a lead into a commercial break, right? Yeah. So they usually have that kind of lead out music. And Star Trek is really good about that for the most part. And I noticed that too. It was just like it was
dull.
It feels like a point you would emphasize with music there, and it just fell flat for just a one-off episode that, I mean, isn't a major focal point of the series. They did a really good job with this episode.
Yeah, because this doesn't really have any consequences to anything else going on their ride home, but it was definitely a good, solid episode. I feel like, we said it last week, whenever an episode's good, we don't have enough to say about it. But if an episode's bad, we can sit here for an hour and just go through the list. But everybody that was in this episode, except for, okay, I'll be honest. I did not like Janeway's performance in this episode.
I didn't care.
You kind of touched on it. It was not her character.
Janeway has to be written a certain way. In this, she was just way too bubbly, way too, whatever you need. And she was so quick to trust. I get it. It's early in the season. Janeway 3 seasons from now probably wouldn't be as trusting as she is if Neelix came to her and goes, dude, this guy murdered a lot of people.
Right.
But I still think because this is the first season, she's a lot more trusting than she would have been if this happened three years later.
But as any Star Trek captain or character, the part that really rubbed me wrong about the way she acted was the doctor gets deactivated. Neelix gets drugged. And we go to the transporter room, and the man really should be locked down, put in the brig, whatever you want to say. And he says, I've got this theory. Like, you got to let me do it. And she's like, yeah, go ahead.
But I will say, with the way we hit these last couple episodes of season 1, and I get that season 1 of Voyager is way shorter than the rest of the shows, with I think it's only 16 episodes or 15 episodes. I have to go out and say that probably Voyager's first season is the best one out of all of them.
Oh, yeah. Because you eventually do get around to shaping up all the characters to line up season 2.
Yeah.
The caretaker episode was, to me, one of the better first episodes of any season.
Oh, I've always said that Caretaker's the best pilot episode of any of the Star Treks.
It's 100% clean. Like, there's the science behind it.
The thing about Caretaker with Voyager was it did what it was supposed to do. It set the story. It set the stage for the entire series. Why are they where they are? What some of these characters are about. You have the mixing of the two. It did everything it needed to do as a pilot episode.
Got
But
you a
like,
little bit of a taste of the current show that was going on, which was Deep
Mhm.
Space Nine.
well, they always do
Slurs
that.
about my people.
Yeah, and Star Trek's very good at doing that. They always give that rub. Like,
We didn't get it in Next Generation though,
yes, you did. You got Dr. McCoy on the show.
but not in the first episode.
Yeah, sure was.
McCoy was in the first episode.
He sure was. He was the one that kind of it was where they were going to find data, and he was like, he had to assist the admiral to. And
At the very end of the episode?
no, it was smack dab in the middle of the episode. It's where Data's walking him, and he goes, the ship's got the right name, and always treat her right, and she'll always bring you home or whatever.
That was
Yeah.
an encounter at Farpoint?
Mm-hmm. Sure was.
Get out of town.
Yep. So you had that there. You had Picard on
Deep Space
DS9,
Nine, which
for
was good.
Emissary. Yeah, which
That was good. So what's your rating?
So
I know that's where you're going. So what's your rating?
yeah, that's what I was gonna touch on. Let's
You always
jump
make me
into
go
the
first,
rating. So I'm gonna go. God, I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go 4. Solid 4.
I would agree. Almost higher if I knew there weren't really good episodes coming, but out of season 1, 5, 4, 5, 4.5.
Out of season 1, if we're just going by season 1, I'm giving it a 5.
5.
I mean, it's
'cause
easily the best episode of season 1.
You didn't like the well, no, I think that was season 2. Which
one?
episode? The 49 or not 40? Is it the 49ers? 76?
No.
What was the name of that episode?
37s.
37s.
That's season 2. That's the season 2 premiere. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be like 2 episodes later, but yeah, no, that was ridiculous. Well, that's where Amelia Earhart disappeared to with some random Japanese officer and some farmer.
Yep.
That we find his truck floating in space somehow.
Tom Paris tries to asphyxiate the entire bridge crew. And
the fact that he was able to get that to start running after it's been sitting in space.
That truck should have been crushed to a million pieces.
Yeah,
it was not floating in space.
Had at some point it had to have gotten, and the fact that it didn't travel all that far in like 200 years or 300.
But when we see it, it's like going like this.
It's just tumbling. But it kicked right over.
So where do we go from here? What's our next episode?
I've been thinking about that, and I think
we've been showing a lot of love to Voyager.
Yeah, I think we need to get away from Voyager for a little bit. We've done 2 in a row. I really want to get back into DS9.
Okay.
You are kind of more of a DS9 expert than I am.
I'm not saying much because I'm not an expert, but I have enjoyed the
I will well, you know the episodes a lot better than I do, seeing that I've only really watched through it a couple times. What do you recommend?
My favorite DS9 episode, and it's one of my favorites. No, not the alternate universe. Not the
I really thought that's where you were going with it.
I'll always enjoy those episodes, but one of my favorite episodes, because it's a meme as well. I can't think of the name of the episode, but it's the one where the meme comes from. Attention Bajoran workers. Where Ducat basically has a video message that
is it
locks
like
down DS9?
The flashback? Oh no,
where they Tarek Noor.
Yes, and yes, because he fixes something. Yeah, okay.
And then it just basically screws everything else up. And
and then they have
to on the station.
They have to bring Ducat ends up showing up at the end.
Yeah, I think it's actually called Tarek Noor.
I think it is. You want to do that one?
I want to do that one.
Okay,
we're going to Deep Space Nine. That's what I want.
I want to say that's early too. I think that's a first season episode.
It's season 1 or 2. It is very early. Because
I just bought the DVD box set in about a month ago. I bought it, but I watched the first. I think it is in the first season.
In the meantime, where can people find us on the interwebs? Which they are finding us, so we appreciate it.
So I actually got the clickable links to work in our so we have our Discord, which has become a very lively we got a lot of discussions going on, which is cool. So if you want to join us, link will be down below to our Discord. You can also find us at TikTok. We have the Star Trek Network on there, and we're constantly uploading videos on there. So I think Vernon's going to be working on a new video for YouTube about. We can
give him
tell
a
him.
behind the scenes of what a voiceover looks like.
Yeah, go ahead and give him a little bit of the script that I sent you.
In a universe filled with warp cores, transporter beams, and cloaked Romulan warbirds, one device quietly does what few others can. It observes. It analyzes. It knows. It's not a weapon. It doesn't fly, but it might be the most important tool in all of Starfleet. This is the tricorder.
There you go. Yeah. So there's what you can look forward to. Vernon will be more doing a lot of our technology videos here on YouTube. So anything in Star Trek, which is basically everything that deals with technology. So hopefully we'll get that tricorder one out there
This is the tricorder.
Yeah, well, that's today's tricorder.
I was just thinking about it because I've got the glucose monitor on my arm. Technically, I mean
that too.
The technology.
You got you a little miniature medical tricorder on your arm. So yeah, we got a lot of new content coming out. Like I said, I've been editing the last couple of days on a couple of new videos. So those should be out. One should be out tomorrow, and another one should probably be out this weekend. So we got a lot of good stuff coming out.
All right. Well, for Vern and Bob, we want to say thank you for stopping by. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that I'm shamelessly asking you to do, because that helps us be seen and heard and allows you to see what we're doing next. And as always, Bob, everybody, have a great day.